In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how Mondo went from $30,000 a month upwards of $150,000 a month in less than 1 year. And I'm not just going to show you the results. I'm actually going to break down the entire process from start to finish. What does business look like when he came to me and what was holding him back, the exact changes we made in his offer, his ads, his sales process, and even the back-end systems, and how we actually scaled him to the point where he got featured on Iman Gadzhi's channel.
This is Mondo. He has made over 6 figures in 30 days. So not 10K a month, over 100K a month.
This isn't theory. This is a real client with real numbers and a real transformation. And by the end of this video, you'll see exactly what it takes to scale from $30,000 a month to $150,000 per month. And you'll know if you have what it takes to do the exact same thing. So let's get right into it. All right, so let's set the scene here, because when Mondo came to me, he already had a successful business. He was already doing $30,000 per month. So he's no, in a sense, a beginner, right? In no way, fashion, or form was he ever a beginner. He had already had the business. He was already scaling, okay? The only problem was he was actually stuck. He was stuck at the $30,000 a month mark, and that's when essentially I come in, had to take a look at his business, and I want to show you guys a few things here. So section number 1 here is where Mondo was when he first came to me. Now, when he first came to me, this is essentially what the offer was, okay? He was selling low ticket retainers at $500 a month. Now, if you guys know anything about scaling to the $100,000 a month mark, you can't do that with $500 retainers. Why? Because you are going to need a shit ton of clients. Like, you're going to need around 200 clients if you're doing $500 a month. And that's just not feasible. You can't manage that many clients, right? And especially with the low profit margins, like, you're not going to be able to build out a team with that. Now, he was also doing a lot of churn and burn. The clients would come to him, stay with a few months, and then essentially leave, right? And that's probably what you guys are, like, a lot of you guys are feeling right now. And it's very, very common when you first start out. He had in a sense, no real back-end system. So every single thing that he did was very much so manual, as in you had to input all the numbers yourself, you had to do everything yourself, track all these metrics yourself. And we know that as humans, we forget, and things are going to become very, very chaotic. When I go to look back and see, okay, where are we scaling? What do we need to do? You don't really know the true metrics, and that's what's going to start a lot of the problems. He was also working 80 hours per week just to maintain $30,000 a month. And now, if you guys know anything, I know it sounds like, okay, well, that's definitely worth it, right? 80 hours a week, I'm probably only making $5,000 a month right now, and I'm doing the same thing. Well, no, when you guys get to this point and you're running a business, you do not want to be working 80 hours a week. There's a lot of things you can automate. There's a lot of systems and processes that we've implemented, and that's what I want to get into here, okay? So the problem is he couldn't scale past the $30,000 a month mark because his offer was too low ticket. So we had to figure out a way of how can we actually increase that, right? You can't continuously scale. Like I mentioned, that's 200 clients. That's just not feasible. You cannot manage that, and there's going to be no profits in it once you start to build out a team. To get to that $50,000 or even $100,000 a month mark, what essentially we need to do, or I guess he had to do, is you need 100 plus clients. Like I mentioned, 200 clients. Again, it's impossible. But his clients were also just weren't getting the best results. Okay, and why is that? Is because they had low budgets. They weren't the best clients. They're not your ideal type of client. Okay, so his clients weren't getting results because he didn't have the systems in place, but as well, they just weren't the right fit, right types of clients that you even want to work with in the first place. And after all this, he was burned out and frustrated. And I'll tell you guys right now, if you don't understand what it is to work with a good client, they're much, much easier to work with than a client who has no money. There's an old saying, it's like the client who gave you $500 is going to be on your ass telling you, like, do this, do that. And the client who gave you $10,000 is just like, hey man, just let me know when it's ready, right? That's the difference, okay? So we had to get him and reposition his offer to be in front of those types of people, but as well, just make sure that he's not going to be stuck having to scale to 200 clients, okay? So this is essentially, this is where he was when he first started. As you can see here, very brand new. This was his main account in the beginning, and then obviously, as you guys may know him, it's the Scale with Mondo account. Okay, so as you can see, he's got the nice McLarens and all that fun stuff now. But what I want to get into is most agencies and consultants, this is what we call the plateau chart. So a lot of you guys, what you do is you start to scale up at a pretty quick rate. Let's say month 1, month 2, you're at 20K. But once you get to that $20,000, $30,000 a month mark, that's usually where people start to plateau, and you start to get stuck at this one rate, and then ultimately you start to go back down, which is what we do not want you guys to do, right? We want you guys to have a graph that looks like this, right? So over time, you endlessly scale and go upwards, just how we had done with Mondo, okay? So a lot of guys are doing this right now. They get stuck at that $20,000, $30,000 a month mark and plateau because their offer and their systems just suck, right? You can't support the growth. So your systems are stuck right here when meanwhile the business is supposed to be up here, and that's not going to work, right? You can't have the same systems at 0 or 5K a month and the same systems making you 100K a month. It's just not feasible. It's not possible. So when Mondo came to me, essentially what we had done is the first thing I said to him is, we need to completely rebuild the entire offer and install real systems, because we're not going to scale 200 clients per month. We're not doing that, okay? We need to give you real systems. That way you're not working 80 hours a week. You can take a step back and we can look at metrics. We can track the right things. That way that you can scale to, endless amounts, like the $150,000 a month that he's doing right now, okay? So otherwise, I was literally just telling him, like, in order to stay where you are, yeah, keep the same systems, but if you want to grow to that next level, you're going to need new systems, new processes, and that's ultimately what we implemented. Okay, so now the next thing here is section number two, and that's the transformation. What essentially did we change? Okay, well, first things first, as you guys may have already could tell, is the offer, right? The offer, we can't sell $500 packages forever, so what we had done to take him to that next level to $150,000 a month is reposition his offer. Okay, so the old offer, what it was, is $500 a month retainer, right? This is the retainer model, which a lot of you guys do. Or he was also doing $1,000 upfront fee for a website, and then just $99 a month retainers, right? Now, keep in mind, yes, this is good. This is good to kind of just liquidate some ad spend, but ultimately you cannot scale to $150,000 a month by doing this. It's just not feasible in any way, shape, or form. Okay. He also mentioned that he's gonna do generic, like, I'll run your ads. That was his positioning, right? I'll run your ads. I'll create you a website. In reality, people aren't looking for that. What they want is growth. They want new systems. They want to be able to go from X to Y. Right? And they want that gap. They want it to be built, and you guys do it for them. And as well, he had no real clear outcome or transformation to show. Okay, so what we had done with the new offer is high ticket packaging. So we done $6,000 to $7,000 upfront packages, specifically positioning him as I help people scale local marketing businesses to $100,000 a month by selling websites, right? We essentially said, hey, like, do you want to start selling websites? We can help you scale to $100,000 a month by doing this. And that's what we done. We repositioned his offer. So we had a clear outcome, and that was scale your business, install all the systems, and get predictable results, right? Use the exact systems, SOPs that Mondo is using, and that's ultimately what his clients will be getting, okay? Now, we position his offer as a grow with you style offer. Now, what does that mean? It's similar to my offer, and for agency and consultants that are already doing $30,000 a month. With my offer, again, Mondo's very similar. What I had done is I would manage everyone's marketing. Okay, so I manage all your systems. I come in, work one-on-one with you. I implement everything. You, as a business owner, you just focus on creating the content, creating the ads, all the VSLs, messaging, scripting for ads. Like, everything's fully done for you to the point where you literally just go on and do your sales. Okay, that is realistically all we want you to do. Okay, so all the paid traffic funnels are done for you, and as well, it's rev share offers. These are what's going to scale you to those $100,000 a month, because you don't need 200 clients. You only need a couple clients that essentially can get you to those big months. Now, just for proof and context, this is obviously our conversation with Mondo. Right, so he sold 4 $5,000 packages, and again, here's some more. Right, so I just messaged him like, "Yo, I saw you got the 4 $5,000 deals," and as well, I sent him over, like I have with my one-on-one consulting clients. I send you guys the exact sales calls that I have, and this is ultimately what Mondo first started learning from, was my sales calls. Okay, so yes, sir, closed 2 about a week ago, and the other 2 past week. Right, and then ultimately here, right, so you guys hit 30K last month. Total was like 50K. Okay, so they did $50,000 when we first started working with him. Okay, now step number 2, essentially, and I'm glad I put this here. I want to quickly show you guys, if you haven't already saw my video with Mondo here in Times Square. We actually flew out to New York City, got our company logos on a billboard in Times Square. I'll just let you see.
What's going, guys? I'm here today with
Mondo the marketer.
Mondo, tell us about your experience working with us.
So prior to working with y'all, for sure, I was doing a little bit of low ticket retainers, churn and burn kind of deal. After implementing what I learned, I started doing high ticket offers, 6K offers, 6K pips, 7K pips. From that, I mean, that took us from 30, 40K to now we're at 80, 90K a month.
So that's right. So that's Mondo there. That was obviously the video. But as you can see in his words, we went from 30,000 upwards of 90, and now he's even doing $150,000 and feature on Iman Gadzhi's channel. Okay, so step number 2 is we dialed in his messaging and his ICP. This is very, very important. It's very crucial. I would probably say that this is the biggest part of anything. Okay, now first thing we did is his niche. So we essentially said marketing companies that sell websites as a service, right? As some of you guys may know, He sells websites. He helps people, grow their marketing business selling websites. That was his niche, right? So we're targeting these people. Now, the revenue level, okay? So young 9-to-5ers that can invest $3,000 into themselves and scale to 10K a month, okay? That is essentially who we're targeting. We're targeting the young 9-to-5ers, the people that don't want to do what they're doing already, right? They don't want to be in the trades. They don't want to continue working. And maybe that's you, right? Maybe that could be you, but maybe you also have desires to scale your business, okay? So that's a thing here. The young 9-to-5ers that can invest $3,000 into themselves to get into his mentorship and start to scale to that 10K a month mark, right? That's essentially who we're targeting. Then the pain points, okay? So what are the pain points of these people? Well, like I mentioned, they want to quit their 9-to-5, they're tired of working for someone else, and they want to start their own marketing company, right? These are all young entrepreneurs, people that want to take advantage of their age and their hustle and actually grow something for them. Okay, so as you guys know, this is Mondo now, 64,000 followers. As you can see here, it's featured on Iman Gadzhi's channel. Iman gave him a Rolex, flew him out to Dubai, done all sorts of stuff with him, right? So that is essentially what it is like in the first bit. And now next is step number 3. What did we actually do? Okay, so first is we installed some backend systems. Okay, so the main thing here is the tracking dashboard. As I've been saying to you guys, you need to know your metrics. If you do not know your metrics, good luck, because you're not going to be able to scale anywhere. Now, before, his cost per lead, he had no clue what it was, around $45, $60, which is through the roof. Show rate was an all-time low, in around 35%. Cost per call, not call taken, doesn't mean someone showed up to the call. It means cost per booked call was $300, which is very high. Cost per call taken is $400, and a close rate of 10%. Guys, if you know anything, these numbers you cannot scale with. I don't care what you say, you cannot scale with these numbers. So we'd come in and we implemented all these tracking dashboards, right? So they track everything. All of his calls booked, his show up rate, his live calls, his sales, his cash collected, his average order value, right? All the people that are coming through, he can see every single sale, on which date, recent transactions. He can see all the information from the closers, where the lead is in the status. Anything to do with his closers, you can see all their metrics here, their close rate, their follow-up schedule, the cash collected, revenue generated, literally everything down to a T, because this is what it takes to actually scale a business. You need to know the metrics deep down. You can't have basic metrics or basic tracking systems. You need in-detail tracking systems just like this, how I implement for my own business, and as well how we've done for all of our partners, and even Mondo, and he's now doing $150,000 a month, okay? So the next thing is the sales systems. It's really, really important you guys have the right sales systems in place. Now, we essentially rebuilt his entire sales process from start to finish because he had no pre-call nurturing. He had, yes, a pre-call video, but that's not enough, right? There are systems like personalized videos. We send out personalized videos to the prospect, letting them know like, hey, we see that you just booked in. We had to look at your form. We had to look at your application. Here's how we can help you specifically, right? We give them a very in-depth personalized process. That way, every time a lead comes through, they're like, damn, this is different, right? I'm not just sending them a video saying, hey, watch it, right? I send them a personalized video, something that is relatable to them. They're like, wow, I'm unique, right? This is a different type of company. We send out confirmation pages with proof, right? All the proof, all the value is on these confirmation pages. So the second that they book, they get redirected and they see so much content from you. They're like, wow, I'm bought in. And that's what they've done with Mondo, right? They watch these videos, they watch all this content, they saw the results, and like, holy shit, this guy knows what he's about. And then because we don't want to just keep spamming people with texts and emails, what we then do is implement retargeting ads. And those retargeting ads means every time someone goes on Facebook or Instagram, they see him. They see his content over and over and over again to the point where they jump on the call and they're just like, damn, I've seen everything. Like, how do I move forward? Okay. Then the sales call structure. So qualify hard, show the roadmap, and close. And some of my other videos, I've shown you guys the entire process for the sales script. I've shown you guys videos of me actually going through an entire sales pitch and closing contractors from my old agency that I previously ran. And as well, guys, the proof is in the pudding. So qualify hard. Make sure that when you get on the sales call, you are talking to people who are, you're not going to sit there and waste your time for an hour when you get to the end of it and the guy has no money. Like, we're not going to do that. Now, that should already be done beforehand. Now, let's say they do get through, because sometimes, in a rare instance, they do get through. You want to make sure you qualify hard. You want to show the entire roadmap. Show them from start to finish what I'm going to do with, like, what are you going to do with them, right? What's the entire process? And that's what we did with Mondo. We show them, like, hey, if you want to go from 9 to 5 to $10,000 a month, let me show you how that works. And then from there, you're ultimately just going to close them. And that's what we've done with Mondo. Next is results. So his show rate went up, right? Like I mentioned, his show rate was in an all-time low at 35%, and we increased that up and beyond about 75 to 80%, okay? Now, his show rate went up. His close rate went up from 10%, okay? So 10% all-time low, as I'm telling you guys and showing you guys, was all-time low, and essentially we scaled that upwards of 30 and around 35, 40%. Okay, so 40%, in around there. And he was also only talking to qualified buyers. So like I mentioned, sometimes if you aren't qualifying hard enough, you're gonna get on a sales call with someone who's just looking for education. Say, how do you do it? Like, how does this work for me? And they have hundreds of questions, and there's just so many objections. They never want to move forward. That's because you're not talking to qualified buyers, and that's essentially what we had done with him. The result was an increased show rate, high close rate, and also talking to only qualified buyers. So the next part is the fulfillment and onboarding. We need to make sure that whenever a client comes through, and just how we've done for Mondo, that the client understands the exact roadmap, they know what to do, and they feel like they're welcome and have entire personalized onboarding. Just how I'd have an entire onboarding breakdown in some other videos within my YouTube channel you should take a look at after this video. Okay, so we created all the SOPs for the onboarding new clients. We want to make sure that our clients feel like they are welcome, right? And that's what we've done for Mondo. We've done the entire breakdown. We said, Mondo, here's what we're going to do. Here's how you're going to welcome your clients. Give them the breakdown of how they can start selling websites to businesses, and so on and so forth. So we set clear expectations so that clients knew exactly what to expect, because it's very, very important you set the expectations correct. You do not want to tell people they're going to be making $10,000 in 2 days. You rather tell them they're making $10,000 in 2 months. That way, if they do make $10,000 before the 2 months, they'll be happy. But if they don't make $10,000 in 2 days, they'll be very pissed off. So you need to set the very, very clear expectations. That way your clients are happy and they want to work with you and they want to tell you about, tell other people about you, and so on. So we installed all these systems so that Mondo could deliver results consistently without, the major thing here is without working 80 hours a week, right? So when the right systems and fulfillment and onboarding systems, like all these systems are in place, it allows you to step out. You don't have to do everything manually, right? Yes, you can have personalized funnels for every single person that comes through, but it's not all done manually, okay? Now, step number 4 is essentially we ran what we call the influence incubator ad strategy. If you don't know what that is, it's a very high level ad strategy that I even use in my own business. That's why I know it works, and also Mondo's using it himself. So how this works is essentially phase 1 is a proof and authority. This is the top of the funnel, okay? So the top of the funnel, what does that look like? Because essentially you do not want to be CTAing all of your clients, because ultimately if you do that, or your prospects, I mean, if you start CTAing all your prospects every single day, they're going to get fatigued and they're not going to listen to you. So the first thing that we do is we show proof and authority. So we ran ads showing Mondo's results, his clients' results, and ultimately it's just results. Over and over and over every single day, the clients are seeing, or the prospects are seeing results. Now we ran ads with value, plus we redirected it to free trainings. Now, I don't know if maybe some of you guys have seen it, if you're coming from Mondo's page or whatnot. You guys have probably saw that he had some free trainings, and we ran all those free trainings simply because we want to give value first, right? We want to have people think, oh my God, Mondo's the guy, or like, you're the guy, right? That's what we want. So we have breakdowns of his process, just how I'm doing right now. I'm showing an entire breakdown of Mondo's process. And the whole goal of this is to get people to follow him, right? We need to get people to see his page and be like, holy shit, this is the guy. This is the guy that's going to help me get to where I want to be. So I want to follow him, right? Then they're going to consume his content, and then they'll see him as an authority. Okay, so this is the front of his ads, right? So we had the ads there, and essentially after the proof and authority, we have what we call phase 2, which is the nurture and retarget, and that's the middle of your funnel. Okay, in the middle of your funnel, we're going to retarget everyone who's engaged with your ads or even your content. We can engage. I do this all the time. I can make people watch a specific video based on the videos that they've watched, based on the percentage of a video they watched. I can retarget them and make them go through an entire funnel. That way, once they watch 5 videos, then I CTA them, right? Then once they watch 10 videos, 20 videos, then I CTA them. That's the whole point, and this is what we did with Mondo. As you can see here, right? This is his my story, and essentially in this is that's my story there. It's a little big, but essentially what we've done here is he's showing off him with Iman Gadzhi. What's more proof than showing off, you working with someone that is been there, done that, everyone knows, right? Iman Gadzhi himself, right? He shows off his cars, right? He shows off his results, $6,000 deal, $6,000 deal, right? This was way back in the day, but you guys can see this is the middle of the funnel. And as well, what you're able to do is use Instagram stories, the YouTube videos. Again, all you need to do is show more proof and more value, and it's exactly what we've done with Mondo, because that's what works, okay? And the whole point of this and the goal is to build trust. So yes, we've already gotten people to watch his content, and see him as an authority. But now what we're doing is, in a sense, building the trust and reshaping their beliefs, reshaping them to believe that like selling websites is the way to go, and you can hit $10,000 a month by doing XYZ, right? Working a 9 to 5 is not what you want. And that's what we essentially told his audience. And then they start to see Mondo as the guy who can help them. That's the whole point of this. Phase number 3 here is the CTA. So the bottom of the funnel, because people are familiar, they trust him, they see him as an authority, they want to work with Mondo. Now we CTA them. We don't CTA them at the gate. Now we CTA at the very, very bottom of the funnel. So only after they've seen his proof, his value, and that's essentially when we run the ads saying, hey, book a call, right? Or give them the CTA to go do whatever you want them to do. But for them, for Mondo, is book a call. Now, by this point, they already know who Mondo is. They trust him, like I mentioned, and they see him in the results. They see him as an authority. They know that he can take them to that next level simply because he's showing consistent and undeniable amount of proof. That's what it takes, an undeniable amount of proof. So they're not coming to the call saying, hey, like, I want to learn more. Like, Mondo, what do you do? Right? They came to the call saying, Mondo, how do I buy? Some of them even bought in the DMs. Not even a call needed. In the DMs they bought. Okay, so that is the process. Now, this is what it looks like. If you show proof, okay, show proof of value, then get people to watch your content consistently, so you're consistently nurturing them. Then, once they've watched a certain amount of content, only then do you CTA them. By the time they show up to the call, I promise you, you're going to close a deal. Now, the other way of doing it is showing no proof, no value. You CTA them right away, right, to book a call or do anything. Then they show up for an education call saying, what do you do? How do you do it? I don't know if it's going to work for me. Like, why would it work for me? How do you know if it's going to work for me? Do you have guarantees? All these low quality types of prospects are going to come through. And then ultimately, you're not going to close any deals. Okay, so that is essentially all these steps inside of the influence incubator. Now let's move on into section number 3. And that's the results. What happened with Mondo? Okay, so month 1 to 3 was the foundation. We rebuilt his offer, dialed in his messaging. Again, very, very important step is dialing the messaging. Who are you targeting? You don't want to target the bottom of the barrel type of clients. You want to target the top of the funnel types of prospects, the people that already want to work with you, the people that are bought in. They already think, okay, I need to start this marketing business. I do not want to work 9 to 5. Like, that's who we essentially started targeting, right? And then we installed the backend systems. So that being said, after all that was said and done, he started closing the $6,000 to $7,000 deals instead of the $500 a month retainers, which you do not want, right? From there, the revenue stayed around $30,000 to $40,000 a month while we were building the foundation. Again, this is month 1 to 3, as you guys can see here, right? So this is the websites have reoccurring coming through, but as well as $600, $500 retainers. Then essentially, here's what changed everything, right? He started selling the $8,000 deals. He even did $9,000 in that one day. So that's what happens. It was a very, very quick turnaround because he had the right systems and everything was in place. So month 1 to 3, we just started implementing the new strategies, the new systems, and he started closing those $8,000, $9,000 days. And then essentially what happened is month 4 to 6 was the breakthrough. This is where everything changed because the system started working. He started seeing things compound. We knew all the metrics. He knew what worked. We knew it didn't work. And then we just doubled down. So his ads were bringing in qualified buyers. His show rate and close rate went up and increased through the roof because he was only talking to the right people. Guys, it's 10 times easier to close someone who is qualified versus someone who's not qualified, has no money, okay? Then his revenue jumped from $60 to $60,000 to $90,000 a month. As you can see, a screenshot here, $91,000 within the first month, or not the first month, but within August. Okay, so August 1st there. Months 7 to 12 is essentially where he scaled. That's where he started having everything dialed in. He's hitting $90,000 to $100,000 a month consistently, and then now he's upwards of doing $150,000 a month. And then he got featured on Iman Gadzhi's channel, as you guys can see here. And ultimately, that just increased everything. Once he got featured on Iman Gadzhi's channel, like, he just completely took off, right? The followers, like, within a couple months now, he's gained 50,000 followers from just being featured on there. And it just, everything's compounding. And that's what happens. Once you start stacking your wins, guys, everything starts to compound over and over and over again. And now he's just one of the top guys in the space, right? As some of you guys know. And that's where he all started, in this little room there. Okay, so that is essentially what happened, right? It was a very quick turnaround. But number 4 here is the key lessons. So what can you learn from Mondo's transformation? Because there's a lot of things in here. Maybe you missed it. So I want to do a little recap. I want to make sure that you guys didn't miss anything, because ultimately I want you, every single one of you guys watching, to be able to scale to these numbers, right? Just how some of my clients are doing. It's possible. If you think it's not possible, you're wrong. You just haven't seen, you haven't been around the right people, okay? So first one is, lesson number one is you can't scale a low ticket offer. So just stop trying to scale these low ticket offers. Stop trying to scale something where you need 200, 300, 500 people every single month in order to hit those numbers, okay? So if you're charging $500 to $1,000 a month, you're going to stay stuck. Ultimately, you're going to bring in bad quality clients. You're going to need 200 of them to hit that $100,000 a month mark. And they're just not the types of people you don't work with, okay? You'll be working your ass off every single day, and that's just lesson number one. So you need to charge what you're actually worth and deliver real results with the right systems and everything in place. High ticket offers, $5,000 to $10,000. This is what will let you work with fewer clients and make even more money than what you're doing right now. Okay. Lesson number two is you need back-end systems. If you do not have this, unfortunately, you'll never be able to scale because you're not sure what works, what doesn't work. And if you're just continuously doing the same things that don't work, you're never going to make it work. Okay, so revenue without systems equals chaos and burnout. And the last thing you want is burnout, because if you have burnout, you're going to die really, really quick. Okay, your systems, your business is not going to last. And we don't want that. Okay, so you need to start using tracking dashboards like I've shown you, have the right sales processes, have the right fulfillment SOPs, and the right onboarding systems in order to get to that next level. Okay, so as I've shown you guys all these, the tracking dashboard is one of the most important things. And next is going to be the sales process. As well, you need systems that let you scale without working the 80 hours a week. Again, we're running a business. You don't want a high-paying job. And if you're working 80 hours a week, yeah, you're making $20,000 a month, $30,000 a month, but you're going to burn out very, 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 very fast and ultimately start to do less and less. And then, because you're not doing anything, your revenue starts to drop. Lesson number three is you need to start targeting the right people. Stop trying to help everyone. Get crystal clear on who your people are, your niche, and your ICP. Very, very pinpoint those people and just start honing in on that, target them, and go all in, right? Speak directly to one type of person with one specific problem. So one type of person and only one problem, meaning if you try to talk to everyone, you only talk to no one, okay? That's simply because you need to talk to one person, find their one problem, and go all in on that. Don't try to talk to everyone. You're not the master person that fixes all. Lesson number four is the sale that happens before the call. So if you're convincing people to work with you, if you're convincing people on the sales call, you're doing everything wrong because the sale process happens way before the sales call. And it might sound weird, but people who are going to buy know they're going to buy. They show up to the call knowing they're going to buy. They just have what we call buyer questions left. After you get those out of the way, it's smooth sailing and you go on without your day, okay? So you got to use the influence incubator strategy. So proof and value first. Then we nurture them second, right? So constantly see our process, our results, everything. And then, only then, number three here is we CTA them. Okay, so proof and value, number one. Then we nurture them. They get to see the new content, breakdowns, everything in between. And then they CTA at the end. So by the time they book a call, they should already trust you and be ready to buy. If they're not, you've done something wrong because the only people that show up to my calls, for example, are people that want to buy from me. I don't sell a cheap service. And when people come to me, they know that, right? But they get on the call knowing that I've shown them all the results, I've shown them the proof, and they know that them personally, I can scale them. They're just missing a few things, okay? And that brings me to lesson number five. You need a mentor who's actually doing it. Stop going to people who don't know what they're doing. Stop going to people who aren't actually actively doing the business, right? To this day, I still own an agency. Right? I still help people with their agencies. And to this day, I run a consulting business. Meaning, if you have a consulting business that's doing $30,000 a month, I can help you. I can help you scale to that next level. Now, if you're below that and you want to scale a consulting business, I can also help you because I've been there before. I know the steps you need to take to hit that $30,000 a month. Just how we done with Mondo, right? So Mondo didn't just buy a course or join a mastermind. He actually wanted to work one-on-one with me. He got access to my systems. He had me in his corner every step of the way. He jumped on calls. He had my sales processes, had my live sales calls, as I had shown you guys in the screenshot the very early in this video. And with that, he was able to scale because he had everything. It wasn't just here's a course, go watch. It was one-on-one. I gave him everything and worked one-on-one, just how I do with all my clients, okay? And that's why he got results so fast. And ultimately, without that, he probably wouldn't be able to scale so fast, okay? So, guys, section number 5 here, I want to just tell you guys that you can do the same, okay? So the question is, can you do the same like Mondo did, right? And here's the honest answer. Can you do the same? Well, The one difference between everyone who's successful and the people who are not is, will you put in the work? Will you right now, the one who's watching this video, the one who's been watching for the last 25, 30 minutes, will you put in the work? Will you actually do what I say? Will you do everything that I show you, implement it over and over and over again until you get those results? Because I want to tell you one thing, right? If you do this, yes, you can get those same results. If you don't, then no, you won't. I'll be dead honest with you. You're not going to get results if you don't put in the work. But no one is just lucky, and either was Mondo. Mondo didn't just get lucky, and one day all of a sudden he woke up from his nap in his bed and all of a sudden hit $150,000 a month. That's not how it worked, right? Essentially, he hit $150,000 a month by simply doing these things. Rebuilding his entire offer like we had done, and I've shown you. Installed real systems, the ones that I'm showing you, and I've shown you throughout this entire video. You need systems. And he ran the right ad strategy. It's very important. You do not want to be burning ad spend. You do not want to be burning through your time, your sales team's time, with people who are not actively wanting to run, move forward with you. So you'd be running ads, you're burning, you're not getting leads, you're not getting booked calls, you're not having people show up to your calls, and if they do show up to the calls, they're not buying because they're looking for education. If that's the strategy that you like, well, I mean, so be it. But if you want to run the right ad strategy, the influence incubator, then that is that there. And as well, he jumped on one-on-one calls. So again, he ran the right strategy, jumped on the one-on-one calls, implemented every single thing that I told him. I've been there. I've walked in his footsteps. I know what it takes. I know the confusion some people have. I know the lack of direction. That's what stops people, okay? So he listened to everything I said, implemented everything, joined one-on-one calls, studied absolutely everything that I'd shown him, and then ultimately didn't make any excuses and moved forward, okay? So he moved forward every single day. Now the question is, will you do the same? Because you right now, one watching this video, you can get results, okay? But I want to make this very, very clear. If you are looking for like a magic bullet or a get-rich-quick scheme, this isn't for you because it's not easy. None of this is easy. If you're just starting out, it's not going to be easy. If you're scaling right now, you're at $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month, you want to hit $100,000, it's not going to be easy. Things need to change. The way you're operating right now cannot be the same to the person that you want to be. So if you actually want to get the same similar results to Mondo, you cannot keep acting how you are now. You need to make changes and you need to do something different. So there you have it, the complete breakdown of how Mondo went from $30,000 a month to $150,000 a month. This is a real client, real numbers, and a real transformation. And if you're an agency owner, a coach, or a consultant stuck between 20 to 30K a month and you want to scale to 50, 100, even $150,000 like Mondo did, you need three things: a high ticket offer that attracts qualified buyers, back-end systems that let you scale without burning out, and a mentor who's actually doing it and can show you the way. So if you want help, there's a link in the description to learn more about working one-on-one with me. But honestly, even if you don't work with me, just take what I've shown you in this video and actually apply it. So rebuild your offer, install the systems, and run the right ad strategy, which is Influence Incubator, and that is how you scale. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.